talking in your ear, yapping like me, it's harder for a bit for you.
All right, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Flat Earth School, the school that is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. I'm Mitchell from Australia. I'm just a student like the rest of you here today, just learning about our beautiful Flat Earth School around us. And I have a very special guest here today, Russian Vids. How are you, mate?
Very good. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate being on your channel. Definitely, it's good to see your videos get so much attention, not only from flat earthers, but from people all over the flat earth, specifically globers, who try to debunk your very, very solid proof that we live in a flat earth.
You know what? Yeah, we were just chatting just before this stream, and you were saying something that is so true. Like you cop the most flack when you're right over the target. And at the moment, just with some of the things that I'm putting out, some of the things about the equinox, how it is just so deceiving with magnetic declination, and just with the sextant and the black swan and these sorts of things, you cop so much stuff from, I like to call them anti-globers, because they're not. I don't think they're actually globe believers, because they love to chuck their globe model under the bus. They just go against our flat Earth arguments. Have you come up against many anti-globers, people? Anti-flat earthers, people who are just going against your flat Earth arguments?
Oh, definitely. And not only that, when I first started making flat earth videos back in 2015, I had issues with my own audience. They were like, because I've been around covering many topics, the deception throughout this world prior to flat earth. And when I first started making flat earth videos, even my own subscribers, they're saying, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing covering flat earth? You're ruining all your work. I said, look, guys, you guys haven't look into this. We're being lied to on a grand scale about many things I've covered. We gotta step back and take a look at the foundation of things. When we know we're being lied to, media's nothing but script readers. There's so many holes and so many stories. We have to do a complete reset. And I hate to quote this from a movie, but from Empire Strikes Back with Yoda, we must unlearn what we have learned. And that's the key. Because what happens is a lot of people, they get involved with truth and they're still holding on to a lot of faulty information. So they're getting new information, but they're still holding on to the faulty information. And that's the foundational stuff that they're off on. So they're still off. It's like your computer. Once it's all mangled and things aren't working right, just do a fresh reboot, start from scratch. And that's what you got to do when you first get involved with flat earth, obviously, and truth in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, I tried to, when I found about flat Earth and I took it seriously, I had to just say to myself, I have to break down everything that I know. I have to chuck it in the bin. I have to start from scratch. And the only way to do that is to use your reality. You can't go into imagination land, because that's where the concepts come into it, the mathematics, the things that aren't real. You need to use your reality, and that's why I wanted to make these videos titled Flat Earth School, because it is the world around us that teaches us where we are. We can't, if we go into imagination land, it pulls us back in. And I couldn't agree more with, there are so many flat earth proofs going around right now, and it's those things that are difficult for people to break away from. As you said, people need to break away, break down everything they know. It's those things that pull you back into the globe paradigm and pull you away from flat earth. You just need to use your reality, use your beautiful natural world around you, and everything presents as flat. Everything presents as enclosed, as stationary. And the only reason why you go back to the globe is you can't pull away from the concepts, the brainwashing, the things in your head that you once held on so tight as a given, as a fact. What kind of things do you think pull people back into the globe paradigm?
Well, first off, just the foundational things. As we know in grade school, we all ask the teacher, we see a globe in the classroom, how does water stick to the bottom of a ball? And they just simply say gravity, this so-called magical force, this theory of gravity. And after they're told, after the students are told that, they don't sit in the first, second, third grade and huddle in a group and say, hey, do you think they're lying to us? They just take it because everybody else believes it. So what happens is, as we all know, children that are indoctrinated into this lie system, they become adults and never question after that very early age. They never revisit that question. And basically, these children become children that don't question things, they grow up to be adults that don't question things when it comes to the full spectrum. And definitely, it's the programming is all around us when we sit down in a movie theater, dark movie theater, and literally, when it comes down to it, movies are all about a programming. The entertainment aspect is a far second. It's programming disguised as entertainment. So when you're watching Star Wars, Star Trek, all aliens, all these sci-fi movies, they're based on programming. Total Recall, going to Mars and living under this domed world on Mars. And there's a scene where don't shoot at Arnold. You might crack the dome. You'll crack the dome. So literally, the programming is all around us. Also, they kind of sneak in the truth as well. But getting to the foundation of your question, yeah, it's the programming is so strong. The ego is so strong in so many people. They have a lot of people in this world, especially the people in quote higher education. Once they get to that apex, they feel like they have a real solid grasp on things, and they have no idea. They've been lied to since birth, and up to the point where they still believe they live on a spinning ball zipping through space. This I call it a water rocket ball they believe in.
Oh, yeah, it's the professionals, the people who think that they need the globe in order to do their profession, that have studied these things, the astrophysicists, the scientists, if you will. That it is those people that I've found have the strongest pullback to the globe. They just can't break away. They have to go against everything that flat Earth has to offer. They are the biggest anti-flat earthers because they just want to go against our arguments. They can't, they just can't pick it down for themselves. They can't start again. They can't use reality. They have to keep using mathematics, their concepts, the things they're being taught. They can't, you can't have an honest look at the world around you unless you can, just break it all down, start from scratch and go, I've been lied to. I was wrong. That's one of the hardest things.
I agree. And here's the thing is people, this is the thing on the globe side, the globies, they're like, well, not everybody to be lying. No, they're all these teachers, professors in college, university, they're reading out of a school textbook. They're basically, they can't go against what the school's textbooks say. They have to basically teach out of the textbook without deviation. So this whole lie system. So people think these university professors are smart. They're literally just experts at regurgitating, memorizing what's in the textbooks. They're not doing any type of experiments to prove what they're reading. They're just, and I say this all the time. People say, all the math equations are there to prove that we live on this spinning ball. It's there. I'm like, if you have these math equations, you do them on a whiteboard, a blackboard, but if they don't meet our reality, then you can throw out the window. It's not science, it's pseudoscience. And that's what it comes down to. But that's what people need to understand is the apparatus, the whole structure that's created. And so people that think university or college professors are intelligent, imagine, the people that constructed this lie system. So it's just like the media for any news story. People are sitting behind a desk or just reading off a teleprompter. They're not there. They're not observing anything. And that's the foundation where people need to, not just read textbooks, question what they're reading, of course. And that's the fault of society, just this religious belief of this, again, this water rocket ball we're living on. And it's really tough because I say it all the time, ego is the biggest enemy of truth. And again, no one wants, after 30, 40, 50 years of programming to be introduced to this truth. And of course, the very bad stigma they placed on flat Earth throughout the years. Oh, if you believe in the flat Earth, you're this, and that. And we know all the negative connotations they place on people that believe in the flat Earth. But these people don't even know the foundation of what they live on. They don't know the so-called radius, the diameter, circumference, the speeds, the multiple speeds, the spin of the Earth, the rotation, and the orbit of the Earth around the sun, and the speed of the sun moving through this universe. So they don't know the foundational things, but they're experts at regurgitating this information, and that makes them educated. And that's what it comes down to is, again, doing a clean reset, and people can't do that. It's like telling someone that built a home, they say a 2-story home, and they spent so much time and effort and energy into it, and then someone comes along and say, hey, your foundation is off. They're gonna, even though what it is, you show them, they're gonna deny it, and they're just kind of work their way around it just deny the information, the objective proof, and because they don't want to start over. And that's society for the most part. And what it comes down to is we really have to just kind of plant seeds. And if we kind of put it out too much information at once, they're just, their minds explode and they just can't handle it. So my best approach is, like they're like babies in this world. That's what I call adults. So many adults in this world are just literally grown-up children in this world full of lies and deception. Just slowly, like feeding a baby, a little at a time. Because again, too much and they just run. They'll just their minds can't take it and they just run. And that's another thing I want to mention as well, Mitchell. Is this world based on duality, where they teach us the principle of, if they tell us the world is spinning and it's moving, it's stationary. It's flat. If they say the sun is far and large, it's relatively small and local. So they teach us this duality concept based on people can't take this going from A to Z. It's too far of a distance to go. People know the supposed distance of the sun is 92 million miles. You can debate, it's maybe 75,000, maybe 68 million. I'm sorry, not 1,000 million. But when you go in the direction, it's only thousands. They can't do that. The mind is handicapped to go in the direction because of the great distance they tell us.
Yeah, it's those foundations that you keep referring to that really pull people back into that paradigm. They can't get away from it. I wish I had a good foundation. I wish I wasn't just getting into this subject a few years ago. Imagine if we had the foundation as children growing up, that we had both opposing views of this world, not just the globe. And that's what I'm trying to give to my children. We have 5 children. We homeschool 3 of them. They're 3 of them are school age, and I'm just trying to give them that good foundation. I teach them about the mainstream narrative of the globe, but I give them a kind of critical thinking skills so they can break it down for themselves, so they can, at an earlier age, they can see the deception, so they can use that throughout everything, because it's not just flat earth we're being led about. It is, at the moment, that there is another great deception in the world, that people think there is a big bad boogeyman out to get them wherever they are. Like we're being told here in Australia, you have to assume that everybody has this big bad boogeyman in their systems. You can't. They literally say to us in the media, if you see a friend or a neighbor or someone down the street, don't strike up a conversation. It is dangerous. Don't do it. Yeah. It's things that like that we need critical thinking skills, because there's no logic behind what's going on. It would be very apparent if we had that big bad boogeyman roaming the streets getting people at the moment, but it's nowhere to be seen. Like, yeah,
definitely when it comes to Australia, which I've covered many events, Sydney Siege, the Melbourne event with Jimmy Gargasolis, what it comes down to is with these events that they put into play, it's order out of chaos. So basically, due to these so-called events that they're not, we know they're not organic. They're made to play out in the world stage. And what happens is now we have to triple the police force in these urban areas. And this is at the stage where we are now. Now it's already been put into play. They had their ducks put in order for what is happening now. So everything is intertwined. Everything's connected on this world stage. And definitely what's happening now in Australia, I hate to say it, but having some good friends in Australia, specifically Melbourne, with PK Truth and others, it went from a very nice place to live to now they're really, clamping down. And I hate to say it, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are heavily indoctrinated in the U.S., but right now, Australia and Canada, is, as you know, living there, it's become literally a police state. It's so very strict. And a big problem with that is so many people just go along with the program, this liberal kind of mindset. And I hate to say, there's very few truthers in Australia. So, when you guys are out there, you guys are easy to spot. And over here in the U.S., there's a good amount, UK. But, like I said, it's a really difficult situation for you guys in Australia right now. And we see it, but it's good to see also the protests that are taking place. It's also good to see, there are a certain amount awake, but unfortunately not enough. And I've seen a lot of videos of what's going down. And yeah, it's my blood boils over what's taking place right now. I'm mentioning something that might be off topic from flat Earth, but it all, like I said, it's all integrated, it's all together, and all works together on the foundational deception. And what I always tell people as well is, if people understand this world's created, you're not going to need these things that they're pushing out, that they're really pushing on the public heavily, as we know what's happening right now, and everybody needs to have this done. If you can, through natural means, food, through the natural foods that are created for us, fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, and grains, to boost your immune system naturally, you're not going to need that. This is coming from the evolutionary based kind of mindset that we're just a random accident, this speck on this, again, this water rocket ball zipping through space, and we're going to need to care for ourselves by our own means and creating things when everything is already out there that we need. Myself, I'm 47 years old, never been to the hospital in my life since birth, just taking care of myself naturally, avoiding fluoride, MSG, aspartame, all these things, these toxins for the body that slowly basically kill us over time. And yeah, it's a sad situation what's happening right now, but that's why I cover the full spectrum of this world deception. And flat Earth, again, to me, is the most important to get the foundation right. And that's what we talked about before we went live.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you realize that your entire reality, if you think you live on a globe, is false, is fake, has been put onto you, something that is such a lie, then you can look at the world in different eyes. You can break down everything around you. Like those things that you say kill us slowly. Yeah, the fluoride, the GMOs, the pesticides, herbicides they're spraying. It's people don't see that they are killing you slowly. They think, oh, I've been eating these things for years, I've been drinking these things for years, I've been playing with these chemicals for years. I'm not dead. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But it's the quality of life in later years. So, and obviously it affects people differently. People can get cancers early on in life, but it's later in life when people kind of they feel like their bodies are giving up on them. It is not true. It isn't your body giving up on you. It is the things that you put into your body, and then you try and remedy that with further medication from the people that are poisoning you in the first place. It is just a big snowball effect, isn't it?
Exactly. And of course, hospitals don't make money off healthy people. They don't offer solutions as far as foundational, how to take care of yourself properly. They just throw medicine at you, more medicine, just to mask the problem. They're not getting back to the foundation of correcting, things that are that are wrong in this whole system. And of course, they're not going to say, hey, they're not going to tell you what you need to eat. They're just, again, going to throw medicines at you. And in the pharmaceutical industry, of course, multi-billion, $trillion industry. And so it doesn't suit their best interest to have healthy people. And I hate to say it, I've been to hospitals for other people, and I see the interaction, and it's like, going to a farm with a bunch of cattle. And after a while, these people become immune to other people's medical problems. I've seen people like some guy in a gurney, he's in agony and pain. And I see the employees at the hospital just chatting it up, yucking it up, laughing, smiling, like that guy doesn't exist, because that's all they see every day. And that's their problem, not ours, type of thing. So in this world, we have to be so very, very wise, so very careful. And I always say this all the time: if you fall in the crowd, you're going in the wrong direction in this world.
That couldn't be truer. If you are following the crowd, you are definitely going in the wrong direction, because the crowd at the moment is leading you astray. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, like here in Australia,
that's a big thing too, Mitchell, is, people are desperate to be liked and accepted. This is one thing that's been bred into us, is the peer pressure to fit in, to belong, wear the certain clothes, have the certain styles, keep up with trends. And the people are sleeping. They got to keep up with every single trend. If there's a ice bucket challenge, if there's a Tide Pod challenge, this challenge, and they have to partake in it. These are the mind controlled. It's people don't understand. This is part of social programming, and this is put out there for a specific reason, to belong, to fit in. So a lot of people can't go in the direction we are going in. But I say this: truth over everything, and we have to definitely watch after ourselves and the ones we care for. Like you said, you have 5 children. So if we don't watch after ourselves, we leave. Then our parents, or the government, and the hospitals, and they don't give a damn about us. So we have to really take care of ourselves and have a mind of our own and figure things out. Unfortunately, in this world, a lot of people are, I don't want to say it, kind of lazy after they get off work. They're inundated with, so many things. You throw this truth at them, now you're just making their life more complicated. They just want to go home and have someone on the idiot box tell them the truth, and they don't want to do the research. Oh, this guy said it. Neil deGrasse Tyson said this. This guy MSNBC said this. So it's come to the point where it just makes life more complicated for people when they have to do their own research. And to be honest, to be frank, people don't have the tools to do this. They don't have the tools to look beyond what they've been presented their whole lives, the school textbooks, the television, the media overall, and come to conclusions based on their own research. They don't have the tools to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was already hard for people to go home after a hard day's work, after trying to earn a living and research these things. Now look at the situation. They've made it so encapsulating for people. They have to spend like all their time and effort just learning what it is they can and can't do at the moment. Can I go out and go grocery shopping? What do I have to put on my face? What do I have to put in my body? What are the case numbers today? Like it's just so consuming right now, the situation internationally. It's not just there, it's internationally. It's a deception that has put a blanket over the entire world right now.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Mitchell, but I'll just say this: the people that believe, there's people out there that are awakened to this massive lie. They're realizing, all these obvious countries they're all working together, but they can't come to the conclusion, hey, if they're lying about this on a grand scale, they're lying about us living in a globe. They're lying about space travel, and that's what I try to really harp on to people. Why does it matter? Why does flat Earth matter? And I tell them, I said, look, without their deep space, their distant planets, they wouldn't have to have a budget for space travel. So that money, where's that money coming from? It's coming from the public. There's so many agendas, a possible future alien invasion. There's so many aspects of it that people ask me, why does it matter? But getting back to, and I got to be careful the way I word it, with what's happening now. I tell people that believe in the nonsense that's supposedly going on now. I said, look, if this is real, where's all the funeral cars on the road? These hearse, they should be littered all over the roads. Where are they? If there's a real incident where people are passing in large numbers, we should see that when you drive down any major road or anywhere, they should be everywhere. So what's happening is obviously what's presented on TV is not matching our reality. And that's what I really emphasize to people is, the TV, that box is just about a box of lies. It tells you, how to think, what to wear, what to eat, what to fear, what to like. It's complete mind control. Even fashion trends. I mean, I'm getting off topic here a bit. Just think about the mind control. Back in the 90s, they had that 90210 TV show, and all the male characters were sporting these sideburns. Then you look around, you go out and about, all these younger adults they have the sideburns too. So it's mind control at every level. And people have no idea of what's happening. And they're just so deluded. They're so into themselves, so self-centered. And ego, like I said, ego is the biggest enemy of truth. And again, it's the whole apparatus. It's not just one thing. It's the whole apparatus.
Yeah, that's a good thing to kind of put in perspective what's going on right now. Like I before all this stuff happened, I noticed that there are trends going on. People wearing similar clothes in the same time period. You really know, like back in the 70s, that you're looking at a 70s picture or a 70s movie. Like I tend to call them clones, not in the sense that their genetic makeup is exactly the same, like born from kind of like cloned, but as in they've been giving an inorganic mental construct of what they need to be doing. They're all the same. They all look the same. They all act the same. They got the same catchphrases of the day. They're doing the same things. They're watching the same things. It is very apparent throughout time. You look at the different time periods. Everyone's doing the same thing. They're all clones. They're all the same people. Essentially, there's
Mitchell,
no individuals.
You just hit the nail on the head there, because it's funny how the human mind works. You think about, like, for example, you just mentioned the 70s, the bell bottoms, the frizzy hair, and it looked cool at the time because everybody's doing it. but try to sport that now. Try to go out and about with bell bottoms. People will look at you like, what? And it obviously doesn't look right today because none of the celebrities are doing it. If I guarantee you, if you had a bunch of celebrities started with the bell bottoms again, you're going to see droves of people wearing bell bottoms. It's just the mind control. And again, how is it that it looks so cool then, and now if someone does it, it looks really tacky. It looks so off and so out of place. And again, that whole kind of group think and group mentality, it's very interesting when you look at it. But one thing I want to mention too about trends, there's a lot of things that go deeper with the trends of society. For example, I made videos about that one rock band in the UK, Def Leppard. So many, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, throughout the 80s and the 90s, they will have the long hair and the ripped jeans. Well, we know what the Bible says about the long hair in Corinthians. Long hair is considered shameful on men. It's meant for a woman to cover her body. I know about Samson, but he had the long locks, and it's about separating male from female appearance. It's not about the so-called long hair. It's how it's shaped and formed. But the what I'm getting at is the ripped jeans. And the Bible talks about how Moses told his sons not to tear their clothes, not to rip their clothes. So these teenagers were purposely, they see this on TV. They grew up their long hair because they saw it on TV, and they also, tore up their own clothes. They ripped their jeans up to look like their idols, their false idols on television. So it goes deeper. There's a lot of occult, hidden meanings behind a lot of what they do. It's not just kind of pulled out of thin air. It's a lot of it is to do with the occult and the hidden, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. That's a subject that I haven't really gone into too much, and I just want to touch on that for a second. I'm not sure if you've realised, but this is all Dave's idea. He contacted me last night and said you should get Russian videos in for your next live stream. I'm like, why? And he said because it's your 33rd your 33rd show.
Yeah. I'm big into the. And that's. I don't want to cut you off. You're going to say something else. You're going to throw something else out there.
No.
Yeah, and that's because I'm going to tell you something right now. And this is people know about this with David and I. Years ago, I've been always studying the occult, the esoteric behind so many things that people see the surface and they don't look deeper. And I would cover the number 33, the occultic meaning behind it. And David's like, before we go live back in 2014. Goes, ARV, before we go live, don't mention 33. It doesn't mean anything. It's stupid. But now he gets it. It's everywhere. We can go on and on about the 33, but it's a long, drawn out type of thing, and it's kind of hard to keep it concise. But there's more than meets the eye in this world. It's like that cartoon, Transformers, more than meets the eye, and that's definitely what comes down to a lot of events. It's based around the number 33. That's the highest degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So yeah, that's a whole episode on itself right there. But definitely, when I talk about certain things, it's it goes a bit deep, and some of the information, to be quite honest, when it first introduced, a lot of it's rejected. You really got to study it. But to me, it's like anything else. It's like a new information. It needs to be. It's like eating a meal. It needs to be digested. It needs to be processed. It needs to be fully absorbed. And it has to get past the bad stigma. And again, new information is really hard to get across. Sometimes it's like the best analogy I have is like going to a new restaurant for the first time. If you've never had, for example, sushi or Japanese food, the first time you have it, you might not like it, but it kind of grows on you. It kind of settles in your body. And that's the same thing with new information. And definitely getting back to flat Earth, no one becomes a flat Earther overnight. Same with a lot of the esoteric things I cover. No one's going to get it overnight. There's so much information. It's just like flat Earth, Mitchell. If you try to explain it all in an hour conversation or a 2-hour back and forth on Facebook or Twitter, it takes longer than that. It's like university. You're not going to learn, even though I hate to use that analogy with university, the indoctrination center. No one's going to learn that indoctrination system overnight. It's 4 years. And prior to that, it was elementary school, junior high, then high school. Then you move on to another level. But yeah, it's a long road. And yeah, I mean, where to start? You got to start with the foundation. That's what we're talking about, is the flat Earth.
Yeah, absolutely. The foundation, just our beautiful natural world around us. The picture you can see here, I go out here every day, just
It's
getting
beautiful.
out, getting in nature, getting nice views, going down to the beach, seeing the wildlife, just hearing these things, getting back to our reality, and that's what I'm trying to gift to everyone. Like I'm able to get out and do these things right now because of my situation. Like I've kind of, Nathan Oakley will put it, self unemployed, because I've not I'm not consenting to these things, putting that thing on my face, putting the thing in my body to
Yeah.
work. I've made that decision, so now I've got so much time to go out every morning and share the Flat Earth School with everybody, because it is the best teacher. It is the thing that everyone needs to get back to. Just look at our reality around us,
Yeah,
wipe out
Mitchell.
everything clean.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Two things I want to mention. One thing is this. I talk to anybody that believes in the globe. I say, give me what is your evidence of the Earth spinning, and why does it spin? And this is to a person that's so sure they live on a globe. They don't have an answer to why the Earth supposedly spins. Of course, it's from the inertia from the supposed initial explosion, the Big Bang explosion, and certain so-called planets are spinning in opposite directions based on their position and the reason why it's spinning. But they don't know these foundational things. They don't know what they even believe in or why they believe in it. But one aspect I always cover is, again, covering so many different topics. There's one event, I got to be careful the way I word it. There's one event happening in Africa and Liberia in 2014. We know what we're talking about here. And there's a doctor here in the U.S. on CBS News. He was talking about, I'm not going to say the word, but how it's going to spread. And it's going to be one of many that will be happen. There'll be more in the future. And we're talking about, I'll just call it the bug. There'll be more of them in the future. And they spread through mosquitoes. And the reason they spread because the world is flat. And he said the world is flat. So they're literally kind of giving us hints. I mean, they're literally putting it in our faces that they're telling us the flat earth truth. For one, the doctor said the earth is flat a couple times. And then he mentions how there'll be more to come in the future. So they're always giving us hints of their game plan and little bits and pieces. What I always tell people, in this world full of deception, they're always giving us the truth in plain sight. People just need to read between the lines. A lot of cases with so many events, we can go into that, but there's so many events that there's predictive programming, and they're really just it's like this. They're telling us what's going to happen. If you people can't catch on, that's your fault. We warned you. So there's really like a psychopath system behind us, the unseen hand, and they love to give us hints. It's a big game to them. They have all the money, they have all the power. Now they're like literally playing with the world.
Yeah, that's a good point. They literally can control what people see, what people view. It right now. It is so censored that really makes you wonder. This information that we're getting now, the things that we're talking about, is it only because are we seeing this information? Is it only because they want us to see this information? Do you think at the moment, with Flat Earth in particular, do you think this is part of a process to actually they're allowing this information to come out because they want it to slowly be let out into the masses?
I believe so, but there's many angles at this, and one huge thing is, as we know, Mitchell, is a divide. It's like this: we're gonna tell everybody that we live on a supposed globe. After a certain point of them, of course, saying it's been flat with all these, ancient cultures, all knowing the Earth is flat. So they've turned into a globe. Copernicus, Pythagorean. And what they're doing is they're doing a complete reversal here. So what they're doing is we're going to say it's a globe. Then we're going to give them the real information that it's flat. And we're going to sit back and watch all the infighting, all over the place. And before this even went mainstream, I was making videos. But like I said, I've been covering so many events prior to Flat Earth. And what I said was what happened in New York. And I'm being careful with my wording. The event in New York that one day of September, that was a big divide. That was a huge divide, and they purposely put people in the media talking about it, both sides of it. They want us fighting, and it keeps the eyes off those that are running the show. So all this divide and conquer that they're putting out, and that gets to Flat Earth. It's like it is the truth, but we're going to put it out there. But people are so brainwashed, so indoctrinated, they can't go there, even with all the evidence. And that gets back to this one Russian journalist who said, you can show people objective proof, but the programming is so strong, it'll be ignored. It's just going to be ignored because that's how powerful programming is. And a lot of things like they're throwing at us, well, what's happening now, you have people show up in the mainstream media. They talk about supposedly getting what's happening now. And they say, well, the world is flat in a sense. And they're constantly planting that seed of flat earth. Just like I mentioned with that Dr. Agus on CBS News talking about how the earth is flat. So they're mixing the two. They're mixing the two about what's happening in the world, and they kind of throw in flat earth. Even Mick Jagger, just a song released recently, talking about Bill Gates, talking about what's happening. And then in the song, he talks about Bill Gates, and he mentions flat earth. He said the world is flat and cold, during the song. So they're mixing, they're integrating the two. It's like, it's very interesting. And of course, the term flatten the curve. And one thing I want to mention too, before you even go deeper, they have us arguing about, back and forth about the globe and flat earth. And I know, and I said this is a means of divide, but I truly believe it's not what we're told either. It's flat, it's level. Because, you get a cardboard box, the side of the box is flat. So it's really, the proper term is level. But the bottom line is, I think it's not even, I don't want to say none of the above. It's definitely a level earth with, peaks and valleys, water seeks its level. But again, it's not exactly what we're told. So they always give us option A and B, but we have to be willing to accept new information, new solid information, and come to new conclusions based on that. So that's kind of where I'm at, where with new information, I'm willing to come to new conclusions, and definitely 100% we're not living, again, on that spinning rocket ball zipping through space.
Yeah, it comes back to, you don't know what you don't know. We don't know all the possibilities of what our world could be. It is very obvious. It presents itself as flat, as enclosed, as stationary. If we use reality as our basis for where we live, you will never, ever come to the conclusion you are on a spinning globe in space. That is not something you can organically come to yourself. You need to be told that. But yeah, for just looking at what our reality is, it presents itself as flat. We have to measure everything that we do as flat. The surveyors use a flat baseline. The sextant, how we use celestial navigation, has to use a flat baseline. Everything has to be absolutely flat. Like you said, water level has to be flat. It's horizontal. The horizon, horizontal. There are so many flat earth proofs that people just need to see it for what it is. But that doesn't mean that we know what our entire world is. There could be more land. There could be more of us somewhere else. Like, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I love your presentations about basically, the horizon, where it's not a physical thing. It's due to, of course, the atmosphere, the lensing. It changes, and that's one thing. Getting back to the section, that you did an outstanding presentation with that, with all the graphics and everything you did. That was a really, and that's where you really hit a home run. You hit it out of the park, and then you had the Globies, basically, dogpile on you. They had to show up. Of course, there was too much solid information you're putting out, and they know this is the issue here. This is the major problem. They know this is going to get attention. And it was too well presented. So they had to inundate your comment section. And the whole basis upon that is, you put the truth out there. Now they got to put doubts in the minds of people that are on the fence. And that's the problem, again, with too many of them appearing, because consensus rules in the minds of the masses. And so even with that solid information, it's they put a question mark over it by the inundation of all of them. How many did you have? How many different people, well-known Globies, show up? The funniest one is that the one that has shill in his avatar. That's the funniest one. So I think it was Sean Hawkins. I forgot which one, but yeah, it's just to me, it's common sense. And it gets back to, which I've covered back in 2015 with the meteorologist in Indiana, looking over Lake Michigan, looking at the Chicago skyline. And his photo, Josh Nowinski, looking at the Chicago skyline, was it about 30 miles, and you can see the Chicago skyline clearly. And there's a lot of debate about this. I made a video about it pretty much right away after that was released. And it actually got back to the meteorologist, which is kind of funny. I know someone that lives in Indiana told me it got back to him. But what I'm getting at is this, which has really flown under the radar, is Josh Nowinski. He was, or Nowicki, I should say, Joshua Nowicki. He was interviewed after there's a big firestorm over this controversy. And he goes, I'm out here literally every day. And every day I get different results. And that gets back to your presentation where, again, due to atmospheric conditions, lensing, more condensation in the air, less humidity, all these things. And literally, it's going to change. So that's why we got to stick to water being level. That's really the big thing with me. But definitely, getting back to this horizon basically moving. It's not a physical thing. It's based on optics and so many other things. But yeah, not to go on too long, but there's so many angles. And one big thing to me, of course, as they say on this ball Earth, it's 71% water, but they call it sea level. That doesn't equate whatsoever. You look at the horizon. The biggest thing with globies that don't know anything about anything, they'll say, "But I see a ship go over." Over the horizon, I see it going down. But you see the mess, you see the whole ship, it's going down level. It's not like going nose down at an angle. And also when you look left or right, you never see a ship left or right on the horizon that happening. So it's all due to perspective, the way the eyes work. The best analogy I have is like looking down a street with telephone poles, utility poles. And the one closest to us, of course, looks tallest. The one down the line looks shorter and shorter as we go. I think a great demonstration you did is with that drone. Even though the drone is at the exact same altitude as it travels in the distance, it appears to get lower and lower and lower. You don't see a plane in the distance literally going nose down around a ball. It literally just disappears into the vanishing point. So yeah, there's so much proof that we don't live on this ridiculous spinning ball, but again, the programming is so strong, and it's at every angle. And again, a big thing is the Hollywood magic, the Hollywood movies, and Star Wars, Star Trek, and everything else. So it's really hard to pierce through the programming. The algorithm is set on YouTube and Google. If, for example, Mitchell, or anybody else out here, we go and talk to someone on the streets about flat Earth, and they're like, "Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense." Then they go run home. Then they Google it. And it's page after page after page of algorithm push, quote, debunking the flat Earth. So it's a very, 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 very hard to get past when, again, they have consensus. They have the bad stigma of the flat Earth on their side. But if someone's an individual, they can get past all that. And that's what we need, is people to have a mind of their own and break free from the thought control, the thought police of the mainstream media. And also a big thing is, I should back up here. Initially, when you went on the internet, it was open reign. You go on YouTube, there was a mix of flat Earth, pro flat Earth, and globies. Now it's like literally page after page of page after page of globe nonsense and quote debunking of the flat Earth.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because I had a guest on last week or the week before, and he has been researching flat Earth since about 2005. And even though it appears right now that there is so much flat Earth information, so much really good information, so many channels talking about it, the mainstream's talking about it, back in 2005, he said that it was so much easier to get good information about the flat Earth. We didn't have those censorships on YouTube. I'm not sure if YouTube was even really a thing. You typed in flat Earth, there was actual
2015.
good information.
YouTube. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mitchell. I'm sorry, Mitchell. I just want to correct that. In 2005, that's when YouTube went into play. 2015 is when the flat Earth awakening really started.
Yeah, so that 10 years, they kind of had 10 years to kind of figure out what do we want to get out there, what do we want to put in the mainstream, because back in 2005, my guest was saying, up until pretty much 2014, 15, like I said, that's when the censorship happened. That's when you type into Google flat earth, and comes up with the flat earth society, comes up with the debunking, comes up with the loud voices in the mainstream talk about the flat earth, because they have to address flat earth. It just became too in your face. Whether people just became too aware of their surroundings, where there was too many big channels talking about flat earth in a way that sounded like really compelling, that the people following it. But yeah, my point was that there was so much better information, so much truer information back 10, 15 years ago that we don't even know. I was trying to ask him what information was around. He was saying it's basically the same information, but it's harder to find. You have to go through like 5-10 pages of bullshit to get to the real information, to get past the debunkings and the Neil deGrasse Tyson and those sorts of things. And it's because
that's very true. That's very true. But here's the thing: is I always tell people, of course, they're always, all these people we mentioned, from Neil deGrasse Tyson to Bill Nye to even not Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin was on the who's that redheaded guy? Conan O'Brien. He was on the Conan O'Brien show, and Conan was mentioning how he goes, "Yeah, I was watching it when I was younger. I watched the moon. Watched the moon landing on TV." He goes, and Buzz Aldrin goes, "No, you didn't. It was, it's all animation." he said that. And of course,
wow, did he? He said that.
Yeah, he said that. And also, too, the very famous clip, which will never see in the mainstream media, is of that 8-year-old girl asking why haven't they gone back to the moon in such a long time? And Buzz basically responded. He goes, that's something an 8-year-old shouldn't ask. That's something I want to know. And I'll tell you, because we really didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. So with all the lies, he'll be talking about the globe, this, going to the moon, then that little blip of truth slips out where he says we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. He held his heart when he was saying it, because basically it pained him to say it, but he couldn't look in that little girl's eyes and lie to her. Of course, Bill Nye saying we lived in an enclosed system. Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that the Felix Baumgartner jump from that height, you're not going to see the curve of the earth. And we know the footage, it showed this, the globe, basically. So, of course, Neil deGrasse Tyson mentioned it's, the fisheye lens that creates this illusion. So again, it's the yin and the yang, it's the duality, where they're kind of like feeding into it. And I'm just being very blunt about this. A lot of people don't like what I mentioned, but I'm just being honest. They're feeding us this bait of truth, and they're using it as part of the divide. I'm well aware of what they're doing. It's not by accident that even Neil deGrasse Tyson stated, you've been lied to by school textbooks, right before mentioning, how, Felix Baumgartner, from that height, you don't see the curve. So that's what it comes down to is, a lot of people prior to that, they would always point to that Felix Baumgartner jump. And that was the whole premise behind that. Even things that veer off completely from the topic of globe versus flat earth, seemingly, but like they'll have documentaries like on top of the Freedom Tower in New York, and they'll show these workers climbing up a spire, and they're using fisheye lens cameras. So from their perspective, at a lot of angles, you see the supposed curve of the earth from the top of the spire of the building, not that high at all. But here's the problem. Of course, you look closely, and you look at the fisheye lens, and as they move at certain points, certain aspects, it levels off and it becomes concave. So it tells you that's not our reality. But definitely, the point being is they're using that subconscious programming that would live in a ball within another lie with the Freedom Tower. So you get your two lies in one kind of integrated with the ball Earth and what supposedly went down years ago in New York. So yeah, it's the programming is everywhere, and they love to kill multiple birds with a single stone with their programming. There's always the multiple angles they're covering.
Oh yeah, and you miss it unless you know what you're looking at, know what you're listening to, have that critical thought. You miss it. It's really easy. Like they like to put that little bit of truth out with the whole lot of programming surrounding it. Just with the fisheye lens and the horror, it comes back to the horizon. And there's something interesting that obviously people quote the Neil deGrasse Tyson quote when Felix Baumgartner went up, and he said, well, you're not going to see the curve of the Earth from up there. It's like a millimeter off this beach ball he's
Yeah.
got. He said this stuff is flat. There's an even better one now. Like, so after Richard Branson did his little space tourism thing, Neil deGrasse Tyson went on, I'm not sure where it was, a very mainstream place, and he said, "Will you see the curve of the Earth from up there?" I did some calculations. I don't think so. So
Yeah.
it's telling people that space tourism with Richard Branson, that's 58, 56 miles up. That is literally the highest that any civilian will ever go. And you've got Neil
Yeah.
deGrasse Tyson telling you that you will never see the curve of the Earth from that height.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
funny because that's funny, Mitchell, because I sorry to interrupt you, but what I was going to say is I actually posted that. It's a CNN interview on my channel. And the thing is, what people are missing is, even in flat Earth, is remember Neil deGrasse Tyson, like you just stated, Mitchell. You know, he said they weren't in space, but guess what? They're supposedly floating above that Virgin Galactic, whatever they call that capsule, whatever that plane, that vehicle they're flying. They have 0G when they're not even in space. So Neil deGrasse Tyson is making them look very, very bad. One thing I want to mention is, and I'm glad you mentioned Richard Branson, bringing him up, because it's funny how technology has gone in reverse. Because of course, back in the 60s, for example, you had Ed White with the 1965 supposed spacewalk. Of course, the supposed multiple moon landings from 1969 to the early 70s. And then you have Richard Branson with all this technology that's supposedly out there, and then he's at this from, I believe, 2005 all the way to 2019, just couldn't get into space. Failure after failure, aborted missions. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't equate. And these globies make every excuse in the book. So what's up with the backwards technology? Nothing about what's happening. And a big thing to me is, for example, the ISS. We never see a 360 pan. We never see these people, observe from the outside. For example, they get their camera, they go outside of the ISS, go around it, get a 360 pan of space, come back to Earth. Nothing about what they're doing is remotely realistic. It's just obvious for those that are not indoctrinated. Nothing about what they're doing, and that gets into many aspects. For example, satellites supposedly in deep space. Well, where are all the planes? We don't see any of the planes from, but we can zoom into straits. We can see individuals walking across crosswalks. We can see trees. We can see cars, but you don't see planes because literally they're mapping the world in 3D with planes. And this is not something I'm pulling out of thin air. They even have articles online how Google has a fleet of airplanes mapping the world. So they even, like I said, throughout all the lies, they're giving us hints of truth, but people don't take the time. People have piss poor discernment. They don't want to look. And if you present something that goes against their preconceived notion, they reject it right off the bat.
yeah, absolutely. That is a good point too. I use a pay map system. I get it from my previous employment. I've still got the login details. It's called Near Maps, and they actually say on their front page, aerial photography, high resolution aerial photography, and it's much better than Google. They use the Google elevation profiles, but the overlay, like the pictures, you can zoom right in. It is great resolution in there, or aerial pictures. They tell you right in the top of their website. Just before we go too much further, I want to shout out a super chat from Johnsburg. He says, "God bless everyone. I really appreciate it. 200 knock. I thought it was $200. 200 knock. I think that's about 23 Australian dollars. I really appreciate the support, guys. I haven't been I'm kind of doing this off my own back. I'm trying to do this as an income now. I'm trying to do this as my job. I really appreciate everyone's support. If you got any super chats, get them in now, because there's about 6 minutes before I end the live stream. If anyone wants to ask a question to Russian Vids, to me, myself, get the super chats in now. I'm not too shy on e-begging, because it is, at the end of the day, we all kind of need that income. And like I said, we've got lots to look after. I've made myself unemployable at the moment. That's the climate of the world. I'm not taking the bullshit anymore. Some people appreciate that. Some people say that I've done it to myself. But yeah, I've just going in that direction with my Patron. Someone became a patron last night, and it was quite generous. And I said, thank you for the donation, thank you for support. And he said, I'm actually a globe believer, and I'm letting you know that I'm going after what is it, David Weiss's Bitcoin challenge. So keep this space open. So people,
That's awesome.
yeah. So I've got a patron that is on the globe side who is who's supporting me because he obviously likes my platform, like I'm doing. And I offered him my platform. I said, live, like, give us your. Are you familiar with David Weiss's 3 Bitcoin challenge? So he yeah, so David Weiss said, download his app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Watch the daily video for 2 weeks, and then if you can give me 1 globe proof after watching those videos for 2 weeks, he will give anyone 3 Bitcoin if you give him 1 globe proof. And this guy is taking him up on the challenge. There's been many that have taken him up on the challenge before that have been absolutely debunked, but it'll be interesting what this guy puts forward, because he seems very confident. And
that was also because David used to just offer the 1 Bitcoin. Now he's of course brought it to 3. One thing, and of course I'm going to mention as well on my channel, people, if they can support you, that would be fantastic, because you're literally putting the principle before everything. Your health would be definitely in the line. And how can you sleep at night knowing you're putting this garbage in your body? One thing I want to mention, I know we're closing up pretty soon. This is probably maybe the last topic we can talk about, is the when planes, supposedly, for example, if you're flying from New York City to, say, Florida, Jacksonville, where you have a north-south runway, and the Globers will say, we'll mention, hey, the plane's going 550 miles an hour max of velocity. Well, the globe Earth is spinning at 1,100 miles an hour. So how does the plane land on a moving runway, moving at that tremendous speed? And they say, the atmosphere, the plane is moving with the atmosphere. But here's the problem with the Coriolis effect. They even say birds, they have to calculate for the spin of the Earth when they fly south for the winter. So again, liars can't keep their lies straight. Also with people in the military, when they shoot, they have to account for the spin of the Earth. So again, I said it before, but liars can't keep the lies straight. So want to throw that at you. As more nonsense that's being presented, by the mainstream thought police and the globe.
Oh, there's so much nonsense. You just need those critical thoughts. You need to critically look at these things. I've got a couple of super chats. Michael Kahn says, God bless RV and Mitchell. Brian A. Metz says 20. I'm not sure what that was referring to, but I really appreciate the support, guys. Yeah, there's just so much deception. It's when you use your reality.
Mitchell. Yeah, I want to mention this, Mitchell, real quick. Michael Kahn's from my channel, so I appreciate that, Michael. A good man, and appreciate you supporting Mitchell's channel, because definitely, like you said, needs to help, needs support with this situation with 5 children as well. And and I applaud you. It's not easy. It's not an easy choice to make, but you made the right choice, because you know what? There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be around, and it's because of what's happening, what they're putting in their body, and that's and they're going to blame it, of course, on the people that didn't get it. There'll be a lot of lives spewed from that, and it won't be overnight, but in the coming years, I see, people, not around anymore. And so definitely you made the right choice.
Yeah, I appreciate the support. Like, I wouldn't be doing it without the support of my wife. She's totally on board with what's going on. She is right into the truth movement. For people in Australia, if you want to look up Freedom Keepers, it is like for every single area in Australia, there is a group called Freedom Keepers. They're part of a larger group. She's the ambassador for our local area in the Shoalhaven. She constantly finds these truths, these things, and once we see these things, we can't unsee them. We're people that are doers. Once we learn something about the deception that we're given, about the lies, about our health, we can't unsee it. So we have to take action. I just want to encourage everyone to kind of have that try and have that mindset. Once you know something is bad, once you know you've been deceived, don't ignore it. Just run with it, go with it, investigate it.
I would say this, it's like this: once you're awake, there's no going back to sleep. Once you, like you just said, once you see things for what they are, and it makes you dig deeper and deeper, and you find more lies. It's like this: when you're digging in the earth for diamonds, and imagine the person keeps digging. He digs, say, 10 feet down. If he would have just dug another foot, he would have hit a jackpot of diamonds. So never stop digging. Even when you think you know it all. Once we think we know it all, that's when we stop learning. So definitely keep digging. Always be hungry for new information, for truth, and and go where truth leads you, not where we want it to go. And definitely that's what we've done. You know, we all been born in this lie system, and very few can step out.
Absolutely, yeah. It is all a personal journey. Everyone has to make up their own mind. You have to think individually. Don't be controlled. Don't be told what to think. Don't be told by us, by flat earthers, by globe earthers, by the media. No one. You make your own decisions.
Yes,
We're just trying to put
agreed.
this information out there. I just want to touch on Michael Kahn. He's awesome. He seems to be everywhere, Michael Kahn. He's one of my patrons. He's a regular super chatter. He's on your channel. Man, he is awesome.
He's on both of our channels. He has good taste.
He does. Michael, you are awesome.
So,
Thank you.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Because he's always on my channel, and that's fantastic. That it's a small world after all. A small flat Earth.
It is. It is. We have a great community. Another thing is with David Weiss's app, the community. I just want to touch on this. Download David Weiss's app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Sign up to Friend Finder, because that is another part of the community. I think there's like 22,000 people signed up to it at the moment. Are you signed up to that, RV?
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
Flat Earth Friend Finder? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well,
good. I was just going to say, it's a great way to just see who is in your local neighborhood around you, who is like-minded. There's probably 3 or 4 people around my neighborhood I didn't even know. I've never met another flat earther, but just having this app, I know there's people around me that I can reach out to, that I can talk to meet up. It is great for organizing something like rallies and protests, or just emergency help. Like, I had David Weiss on. He was telling me about in America, someone was using the Flat Earth Friend Finder app. They ran out of fuel. They went on the app. They said, "Hey, is there anyone in the area that can help me?" Someone came out within 10 minutes and gave him fuel. It is that community that we're building. That is, it's awesome. So important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and this thing is growing, Mitchell, as we know. And I tell David Weiss all the time. I've known David for many, many years. As far as truth, putting this truth out there, once you get involved with it, you might take a little break here and there, but man, you always come back to it, because again, once your eyes are open to what's happening, your passion, you spread. It spreads, to everybody. You spread to everybody you can, because you want people to know, hey, look, there's a massive deception going on, and nothing worse than living your life, Mitchell, and everybody that's listening in, living your life from birth to death, and your whole life is a lie. That's not a life to live. That's not being manipulated through lies, and your whole life is nothing but, living in the matrix. And people just, they don't like that idea, again, of being deceived from birth to death. But that's the reality. And the truth pill is definitely the hardest pill to swallow.
Absolutely. It is so hard to let your ego go, to admit that you're wrong, that you've been lied, that everything that you once thought that was true is not. But imagine looking back on your life at the end of your life, and looking back and realizing,
Mitchell, I don't hear you. Hello? Yeah, Mitchell, I'm not sure if you got, can anybody hear me in the chat? Because I don't hear Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah, you guys can hear me, but you guys can't hear Mitchell. I'll just carry on. Yeah, I appreciate everything Mitchell's doing, on his channel, and definitely support him if you can. There we go.
Don't know what happened there. Oh
yeah,
man,
it dropped. You got cut off for about a minute and a half or so.
Yeah, I appreciate you carrying on there. I just want to say thank you to some other super chatters. Sphere Asunder gives me $7.77. Love it. Caroline McGregor, £5. I really appreciate all the support, guys. I am going to have to end the live stream. I wish we could go on all day, but we've all got different things. I've got to go and go and do some stuff. You got to go do some stuff. I'd love to have you on again, Russian Vids, if you're up for it.
Absolutely, man. This is the first time we ever spoken, and when you're involved with truth and you're looking deep into things, we're going to be on the same page. If we look deep enough, both of us, we're going to be very close, and that's so very, very important in this world deception. Here's one thing I always tell people: no two people agree on everything, but as long as our foundation is right, that we're not living on a spinning water rocket ball zipping through space, we're on the same track, and we can go from there.
Yeah, go get those foundations right. Don't stop digging. You'll hit gold. You'll hit the diamonds eventually. Thank you so much, Russian Vids, for coming on. You've been listening to another edition of Flat Earth School. If the world feels like it turns on you, turn to Flat Earth School. It is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. I've been Mitchell from Australia. You've been Russian Vids. Thank you, mate. I'll see you next time.
Take care, man. Everybody take care as well.